So in today's Enlisted video, I want to talk more on the lines of how I would add more campaigns to Enlisted or how I would add more nations to Enlisted. So the first thing I want to get out there is I kind of know how free-to-play development works. Queue times are very important to the developer, as well as being able to put out content that people will enjoy and people that will spend money on it. So that's the basics of free-to-play games. If you don't like it, well, that's pretty much how every single game is going out. Even Warzone, even Fortnite, they're all trying to put out cosmetics and stuff people are interested in buying. So the first thing is I want to say is that obscure campaigns or obscure nations that really would not bring in any sort of revenue, I do not expect them to be added into Enlisted. Do I agree with it? No. If it was a perfect world, everyone would have everything they'd want in the game, but Gaijin and Darkflow Software are a business, so they need to make money. So the main thing is I want to point out is that these campaigns I've suggested is campaigns I think would be introduced to the game very positively towards the community, as well as being able to make money for Gaijin and Darkflow. So the first campaign that I would suggest adding is the Battle of Stalingrad. And the reason I want to suggest the Battle of Stalingrad is because Stalingrad was from 1942 to 1943, which was around the middle part of the war, right? So right now, Russia and Germany both have an early war, which is Moscow. They have a late war, which is Berlin. But if they introduce Stalingrad, that'd be the middle ground, and you'll see some interesting technology from there. So that's the main reason I would add Stalingrad. I think a lot of people would also be very interested in Stalingrad, as well as it would be a way for Gaijin to make money from it. Now, the second one, and there's only two of these that I would suggest right now, is the Guadalcanal campaign for the Americans. So, in my eyes, the way I would want campaigns to be is I would want one early war, one late war, and then one middle war, right? Middle of the war, I mean. So the Guadalcanal was very early war for the US, as well as it would be something interesting because it would introduce Japan. And I think Japan is a wonderful nation to be added because right now there's a big issue, in my opinion, with every single campaign right now. The enemy team is German. And so the issue with that is that, at least for me, I played Germany on Battle of Moscow, and I'm level 22 now on the campaign. And I don't really want to play Germany anywhere else now, because whenever I look at Germany in the Battle of Berlin, they kind of have the same weapons, except for a little bit better and a little bit worse weapons because it was the end of the war, right? And for the Battle of our invasion of Normandy, Germany as well has pretty much the same weapons as Moscow, except for just a little bit better tanks and some interesting weapons, but in my opinion, not worth it to me to grind out. So going forward for me, my focus is going to be on obscure nations like Russia and the US right now, because that's a different experience than playing Germany. And hopefully somehow they understand that, not everyone wants to play Germany every single time, and I'm going to wonder how that affects queue times in the future of the game. So after that is the new nations. So how would I introduce a new nation? So the first thing I would do is see if that nation exists already in a campaign. So for example, Italy. This is probably the biggest example that I can give right now. Is if Italy was with Germany in any campaign, what I would do is save their units for premium squads. Now, you also have to understand that Italy is not the biggest nation in the world, right? And people are not really that fond of Italy. From experience from War Thunder, you have the big main three, which is the US, Russia, and Germany. And in Enlisted, you're going to have the big three, which is the US, Germany, and Russia, once again. So you're going to have to appeal to people, and I believe the best way to do it, and not to waste time, is just to put them as a premium squad. I would also do the same thing with France. If France makes sense to go into a campaign for like the UK, or even in Normandy, if they're helping the UK, you can maybe put a squad there or something, premium or an event. And that's the next thing I want to talk about, is how I would also introduce new nations with events. So to make it fair, so you don't always have to just buy these nations in a premium, I would make it into events, just like War Thunder has. So War Thunder, if you don't know, has events periodically throughout the year of like a Build-A-Bear event. They have a task event, and you're able to get some cool and wonderful things from it. Normally would never go into the regular tree most of the time. I'm looking at you, Phantom. But in Enlisted, that would be a wonderful thing for nations who are obscure to be able to go for, is you're able to go for these nations and be able to get them freely without having to pay. So other than that, I think new nations in Enlisted are needed. I think it would be really cool to see every single nation, but at the same time, I know it's impossible to do. So if you want new nations in Enlisted, just leave something in the comments. Let's see what we can brainstorm. Is because right now the development in Enlisted is very, very, what's the good word to use? Like, it's not set in stone. Right now is the time that if you want change in Enlisted, or if you think something should be added, is the time to suggest it. Because once you get 1 to 2 to 3 years down the road of Enlisted, you're going to have an issue of where everything has been doing good for, for years now. Why change it? Right now is the time to change. So other than that, I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.